Welcome to this episode of Herald Cafe. Today we've got the authors of this book, The Quest for Goa, History and Heritage of Goa from Ancient Times till 2019. With me is Dr. Sharmila Pais and Prajal Bab. Both are in History Department, and Dr. Sharmila is in St. Xavier College. She's the Associate Professor, and Prajal Bab is the Head of the Department History, and his Dhempe College, and yeah. So first to go to the conversation, I want to ask you. This is a ready reckoner for Goa, and in this space where the history is kind of seen by many different people in so many different perspectives. What is that genesis of this project? How did you both come up about? Did you find a gap that you need to write this book, and what is their objective?
Okay, maybe I could answer this question.
Yeah.
Nilankur, I've known Prajal Sakhardande for more than 3 decades now.
Of
we
course.
have studied in Dhempe College, thereafter at post-graduation, and as faculties of higher education, we meet for conferences and seminars. So we are in touch with all our faculties, and there has been actually a need expressed to have a book which is very comprehensive
Okay.
for readers who do not have much time to spend on in-depth reading, or for students of history, school students. It was under these circumstances that some time back a publisher had approached me. Prajal was also approached, but somehow things didn't materialize because of our busy schedule. But it was after 2021 that we actually started working. That doesn't mean that you can start off a textbook within, and in 2 years you bring it out. It's not like that. As faculty teaching higher education, we had the subject of history of Goa taught for third year students. So we know the flow of the events of history of Goa.
True.
And so we have a database already built up. Here it was a matter of having your sources recorded and noted. So it was under these circumstances that we decided to do something for our students, for people who want something which is like a ready reckoner, as you say, and as Prajal says.
Yeah. And Prajal Bab, to you, like you have written so many books already, and I have heard your presentations, I have heard your lectures. How do you feel about this to come up a retelling of Goan history?
As Dr. Sharmila has said, I feel that it was the need of the hour, kind of, wherein everything is available as like a ready reckoner. Like many times people want to know about history of Goa briefly. They don't want to details like an academic kind of thing. So they want it to be found in one book. So what we thought was that let's have a book wherein all the information what is required about history of Goa, for not only for students of history, a common person who wants to know, So so this is where you have to find it, and even it will be useful for quizzes.
Okay.
Of course, and for the school teachers, I feel, and also college teachers who are teaching history of Goa, and now history of Goa is there in schools as well as colleges.
Yes.
I feel this will be very useful work, and that is the reason we decided to pen it.
Like maybe like a reference for their academic syllabus also, and like something to look up to for.
And even maybe for even a tourist, like whoever wants to know about history, everything is there, under one roof, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, I want to ask you, generally when we look into Goan history, we see two distinct point of views. One is that Portugal kind of a scenario, and another is Indian nationalistic movements, that kind of a scenario. In this book, did you try to explore these two paradoxes, and if you have, how did you devise a way to maybe neutralize it or given weightage to something? Is it just like to
If you read through the book, you'll realize that it spans across a very vast phase of time, right from prehistoric times to 2019. So you can imagine the information that is the vastness and the expanse of matter that is packed over here. Different phases of history have been treated here according to their eras. So you have the as you say, the indigenous perspective, the nationalist
True.
perspective, the colonial perspective. As a student of history, I would like to take a very a rationalist view. I don't stand for, I don't really support either, I don't take any stance as a student of history and as a faculty of history. Prior to 1510, we have the the phase of prehistoric times of Goa,
Yeah.
the different dynasties, and I see it as a phase of evolution.
True.
History evolves over time, and with every phase of evolution, you get to understand the culture and the trends which are different from another phase.
True.
So under the colonial regime, there is another phase of history, and it's not to either, history is based on facts, and here too I don't want to take a stand. What is right, what is wrong. That's how I see history as over here. So all of it together, pulled together, you have a very comprehensive history of Goa, which is presented for the readers. Maybe when you try to analyze, when it's a theme based work, say on
Okay.
a singular topic, maybe you
Like
could
a
take,
period wise.
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
or maybe a particular theme. You can take a particular theme on society, or say social divisions, or say different aspects of religion. Perhaps you can take a particular approach. Here
Right.
I don't think we have taken any approach. These are facts presented as they are. Not really too much of analysis has not been done here, and that is done with a purpose, because it is not meant to really complicate issues for the reader. It is to present history as simple as possible.
Okay.
And I feel we have taken a balanced view.
Okay.
And if I can categorically state that if anybody wants to have a balanced view, our book will help, because what we have taken is in a rational view, as Dr. Sharmila has pointed out, that it's not like taking sides.
True.
Whether it's a religious policy of the Portuguese or the Inquisition or any, people keep talking about it. So we have taken a balanced view. So this is how it is. These are the facts, and this is when you read, you will know these are the facts. So it's not about taking sides, because the colonial has its demerits and merits.
Totally.
So we cannot take any sides in history. So in history, it's about facts. So whether you like them or don't like them, whether you disapprove of them, or then that's not taken into account. It's that's empiricist. When we were doing history for our masters, we were taught about philosophy of history, and we had, I remember, a topic called empiricism, where you talk about Lord Acton and Ranke, where they talk about facts. Fact as a facts cannot be altered or changed to suit your. So it has to be objective. Of course, 100% objectivity is also not possible, but we have tried to be as objective as possible. But when people try to read subjectivity in anything, then that's the issue.
And also are you saying that one portion of history cannot override the another portion of history?
Right.
And while you were writing the book, while you were doing this book, how long did it take to write this book?
Prajal had also contributed to another work of his, Goa Gold, Goa Silver. So he had a lot of database. Likewise, as I told you earlier, when we teach history, we collect a lot of data and have our files made. So in that sense, we it's not that history of Goa is new to us. So we already had our data. So it was a matter of compiling it together, rephrasing it, presenting it in a differently, and you would see that the work of this kind is will not be found. It's not really a duplicate of another work as such. So it's totally a new presentation. New in the sense, I wouldn't say that it is we have tried to have new facts researched here. We have referred to secondary sources in English, Portuguese, or even say Konkani works that have been researched by other scholars to put it together. So that's why I am not saying that it is totally original compilation. But yes, there are certain facts which are certain issues which are new here. A lot of data on say electoral reforms, changes, statistics. especially post-liberation era, a lot of things which are not spoken of before in detail, we find a reference here. So in that sense, time has been spent. I would say, if you want to ask me the time, maybe say 2 years,
Right.
thoroughly sitting exclusively with this work. Apart from there, our background information that we had.
Mhm.
So, you could say it's, say, about 4 years.
That's a long
I
time.
would
Yes.
say the roots go back to 1991 when we were doing our masters at the Goa University,
Sure.
where we had a history of Goa paper, and that what happens is, like, since we are serious students of history.
Mhm.
It stays on with you, and you try to find out every
Ways
day you
to
come across
distribute.
something or the other, something
True.
or the other. So that goes into
Yeah.
this work. So in between, she had gone to Portugal for her PhD and all that, and I have been doing a lot of field works, mainly in the pre-Portuguese. Most of the caves that we have mentioned here, I have visited them. So
Okay.
all those things, over the years, it may be 2 years in that sense,
Yes, yes, I
but it
understand.
is over the years that,
Yeah.
and everything is there for the readers. Now
Yeah,
the readers,
true.
like the other day, somebody was telling me that will be very useful for school, schools
children,
and,
yeah.
and also colleges, because they would have something to fall back on. Because see, there are many books on different subjects.
True.
There are books on
True.
Goan history, but to put everything together and finding it in one book, I think this book will definitely help. And it is a quest for Goa. So quest is ongoing process.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be two,
Yes.
three more editions of this.
Sure,
I hope
yes,
it comes.
yes, yes.
Also, Dr. Sharmila, when you said that differently you have tried to retell the history, taking the cognizance of facts and stuff while you were writing, is there any influences of early historians like Chaitanya or Dr. Kosambi, or you found a different way to look into the subject?
Yeah, Dr. Teotonio D'Souza has contributed tremendously to Goan history. I
course,
must
yeah.
say his style of writing is amazing.
Mhm.
And having read a lot of his works, what I learned from him is to read in between the lines in history.
True.
You have certain facts and they may not be interpreted, but his work helps you to interpret the facts, to find out what could be the underlying meaning behind it. Like, say for instance, you have a Portuguese officer, Cunha Rivara, who has contributed much to Konkani language, and he was appointed. He has worked in Goa for quite a number of years. So Dr. Teotonio's views, to just give an example, helped me to understand that being a government official, you have to accept his works with a pinch of salt, his perspective with a pinch of salt.
True.
So in that sense, his works are very commendable. Dr. Kosambi is a great Goan historian. He's a polymath who has contributed, very
Across
to
fields,
different fields, including mathematics and genetics.
Hmm.
His work helps us to appreciate, beyond the great men theory. He says, in fact, in his work, The Culture and Civilization of India, he says, if a historian wants to find information about kings and queens and great men, you may not find it very commonly. But history is beyond all these so great people. You can go to a village and find a lot of information.
True.
So in that sense, that was impressive. Not that, I take any view, as I mentioned to you. I don't stand for any approaches personally. But yes, his perspectives help you to understand that there is another way, the unsung heroes whose works have to be, whose contributions have to be recorded for posterity, for youngsters to know. So that has helped for this book, and in fact this work, to grow. We have analyzed the Goan folk tales, The Grains of Truth. It is titled as The Grains of Truth in Goan folk tales. Likewise, Prajal has also contributed certain chapters and certain features about certain great people in Goan history who are not really sung generally. They remain hidden in the annals of history. So those perspectives definitely have, the perspectives of these great two men that you have spoken of are very useful, not only to me, but I would think to any researcher or any student of history.
Please give me one example of an unsung hero that a lot of us who will not know.
See, the immediate name that comes to my mind, and we have a sub-chapter
Okay.
of about him, is Karnal Singh Benipal.
Okay.
This
tell us about
man
it.
was 21 years of age,
Mhm.
and he braved bullets on his chest at Patradevi on the border of Goa
Mhm.
to liberate Goa. He
Right.
joined that satyagraha.
Mhm.
He was in the rear of the procession. Then he comes forward. In fact, one original photograph of his, which one of his relatives sent me.
Mhm.
I'm in touch with his relatives,
Mm.
so that we have included in this book. That
Nice. Okay.
picture which is there.
Mm.
So like that, his story, people should read. Like Vatsala Kirtani, her
Okay.
story is there.
Okay.
So likewise, you will find many things, and she
Okay.
has documented some great Goans. Like I mean, not the ones who we know, they are also there,
Yes.
but some which are unknown, those also find a place in this.
Nice.
So even about personalities, like people can refer to this, and they'll find, okay, no, this is what we didn't know about.
Mhm.
You know?
Yes. Okay.
And so this is the I think highlight of the book.
Yeah, like the 19th century Goan parliamentarians. Most of the Goans, they know Bernard
Yeah.
Perez de Silva for that
Yes.
matter,
Yeah.
because he was the prefect of Goa. But there are other Goans of the 19th century who were elected in Goa. They went to Portugal and they spoke in favor of the Goans, irrespective of what they
In the
didn't care.
parliament.
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
parliament in
Yeah.
favor of Goans, irrespective of the repercussions.
Yes.
They might have not really seen the light of the day for the next election. They didn't fear, they didn't care for that. So you find a lot of these records based on original sources, that is the parliamentary records,
Okay.
which are available actually in Portugal and even online. So based on that, we have not really dealt extensively, but it finds a mention here.
Even the post-liberation issues like students' movement.
Yeah. Then half ticket.
Many of the
movement.
names you will find them. Then so many.
Great.
We have ended with the Parrikar's regime because we found that as a watershed. After that, you have the present government. So that is history. So that also, in fact, we have ended with that.
Okay.
So in many of the books, you will not find post-liberation era or pre-Portuguese. Has been dealt so extensively. So truly. I shouldn't be praising our own work, but
You can, please. Go ahead.
Then it will be like a promotional interview. So Reddy Reckner, definitely it is.
Baba, name you said Karnail,
Singh
who
Benipal.
passed away. Is his bust is in there in
Yeah,
Gurudwara?
in fact, we put it up there on the Patra Devi school because that's close to it. He had passed away. I mean, he had
Okay,
died.
okay,
He had braved
okay.
bullets and he had become a martyr. Just 21 years of age. In the month
a
of May
story.
1955, he was married. August, he became a martyr.
What a
So I
story
was
that
in
is.
touch with his family. So
Yeah.
that has come. So a lot of these authentic sources we could refer to
True, true.
and bring it in this book. You should
The-
also look at the design of the cover of the book, which her son Ian Martins has done,
Nice.
and he has put everything in a Goa. And the Goa is shown, and everything that is found in the book is there shown.
Yeah.
So it's a very beautiful design that he
Yeah.
did.
Congratulations, guys.
Ian Martins. So that was also that also looks, I think, attractive.
Yeah, yes. So that way we can use the word contemporary history for this. Though you have covered from ancient, but
Yeah.
post-liberation there's a huge bunch
Yeah, one of the phase
post-liberation.
is contemporary.
Yes.
So there
Yeah.
it's 4 phases, now
Yeah.
pre-Portuguese,
Yes.
Portuguese, liberation to statehood, and statehood we have ended in 2019. We have ended.
I believe in the coming editions you will include the more contemporary history right now. Maybe
I don't know. maybe,
socio-political
yeah.
histories.
Yeah.
That will be, I think, that will be timely also.
No, those
Please do.
coalition politics, all that given that Ayaram, Gayaram, and all those things are there.
Right. Yeah. So I think we are coming to an end of this show. My last question to both of you will be like, Goa has such a multicultural history, layered with so many communities, so many colonies, people, cultures, traditions. Which part of history attracts you most, like fascinates you, and why it fascinates you? If you go ahead.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm very impressed with the indigenous history of Goa, indigenous culture. In fact, I also
like
teach.
sorry to cut it. Like the history of the tribals, Valley,
Yes, yes.
all those.
Yes, we
okay.
have also a paper which is a part of the undergraduate studies. It's not a co-paper, but it gives you an understanding, a perception of what Goa was like in prehistoric times. Their representation, the complexity of their religion, culture. So that is one aspect that I like of history. Now, secondly, I also like the evolution of history and its, the multiple layers of different influences on the cuisine and dress, art and architecture. Of how what a monument stands for. It's not really, it doesn't stand alone. It's actually an influence of different multifaceted influences. It could be the various dynasties of Goa, the Muslim dynasties or the Adil Shahi dynasty, or it could be any Vijayanagara or Portuguese. So that really impresses me, the influence that is there, that is to be appreciated, and that monument itself will speak volumes of the changes of the various phases of history and the layers of history.
And
Yeah.
sorry, when you say prehistoric, like those facts will be through the geological department, like learning about geomorphology and all. Are you going back to that level, or like little bit?
In a sense, you understand, there's something called as oral history,
Right.
where there are certain aspects which are not really recorded because ancient settlers and people, I'm not talking of really the remote, but say even when you study the say the pre-colonial history, the documentation is very difficult to find. You cannot get everything, all information. There were no archives as such. So you depend upon oral sources, and I believe as a student of history, there is no reason why you should doubt the works of the common man, their sayings,
the collective wisdom.
Yes, we tend to validate what is there in the archive. So what is there written, and we tend to ignore what is unwritten or oral. So I feel that there is a lot of truth, grains of truth hidden. Perhaps they are exaggerations, and maybe it is for a student of history or a researcher to find out, come nearer to the truth. In an exaggeration,
yes.
you may have an exaggeration, a legend, but still you can discover certain scientific facts.
Yeah. I'm thinking about digging deep on folk songs
Yes,
and
yeah,
stories.
very
no?
much.
Also,
Yes.
Reading between the lines what they're trying to
Yes.
say. And Prajal Bab, your fascinating part of the history, what do you say?
I have always been fascinated by heritage of Goa and the post-liberation era, especially the political history and also the environmental movements. So many movements have happened. Those interest me. Kadamba period, Boj period, before that the Boj period, Adil Shahi, all these eras, and so there are no one aspect. I mean, various aspects of history are very fascinating equally.
Equally fascinating.
Equally fascinating. History is such a fascinating subject that
True.
we love it, and I think many more books we would like to bring together maybe.
Then again, my last question to you maybe is like, there's a huge adage saying that goes like, history repeats itself. In the current scenario, what is your views about that? Can we change the course of history through our works, etc.? Are you getting the?
Yeah, I feel that as a teacher of history, and also as a student of history, that we need to put before the people a balanced view of history.
True.
Without exaggerating, there should be no malicious intent. Or whatever you are speaking, you speak it as a fact. And people also should have the large heart enough, magnanimous enough to accept, okay, this is a fact, and not get emotionally attached to it, because you can't do anything about it. If some event has taken place in past, you cannot stand today in the 21st century and try to change what happened in the 16th century.
No, you cannot do it.
Although that is a fact, it has happened.
Yeah.
So what happens is a balanced view of history by presenting the fact, but without any malicious intent of maybe creating a divide or whatever may be the intention. That should not be there. So I think this book is the best answer for all that.
Or maybe I could just
Yes,
say, you know,
please.
when you said history repeats itself, I agree that history repeats itself but differently. Like, to give an example,
Please.
there are issues, there are instances of, you know, exploitation during the, say, colonial period. It's a
Yes,
fact, because
yes.
most of the colonizers, they came to exploit.
Mhm.
But all of us should ponder and ask this question: are people around the world not exploited today? You know,
All
this
the
is,
time, I think.
yes, you are,
Yeah.
people are exploited in different, differently, you know, socially, economically, racially. You know,
True,
there are different
true.
facets of exploitation. So
Yeah.
in that sense, history repeats itself, and we forget, you know, we tend to forget what is being done now, and we try to remember the
Only
follies and the
past,
errors
yeah.
of the past.
True, I can understand. Yes. Okay, this is the end of the show. Thank you for your time, both of you.
Yes, thank you
Uh,
for inviting us.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Nilankur. Thank
yes,
you.
and all the best for this book, and we expect that there will be another editions with more informations. And this book is available in all the bookstores and online also, Amazon also, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, audience, for your time. And this was a lovely conversation with Prajal Bab and Dr. Sharmila about this book. Please check out this book in Madgaon, in Dog Ears, and in other places also. Will be there.
Curate books and
Curate
many
books
other,
also, online that is, right?
Broadway
Yeah.
also has.
Broadway also. Okay. Thank you, audience. We'll see you next week.